Okay, we've got a good 7-minute video here that we're analyzing. All of Opti roll tacks from the other day. We're definitely not going to go through the whole thing, but we'll just look at a couple of them and see what we can learn. So one thing, I looked through this video already, and one thing we're going to notice is the different styles that different people of different sizes have. So Blake's one of the smaller kids on the team. He really has to use all the right techniques to roll the boat quickly and completely without wasting too much time on the rail trying to get the boat to roll over. And for him, that's difficult because he's little. And when you're little, you have less weight to roll the boat. So one thing, remember this, I'm going to bring it up later. Blake here, is his back's not straight. He's already starting to prepare to go under the boom when the boom's on the way over. His back is not straight, it's bent over. He's already thinking about the flatten before the rolls really happen. Let's see if he continues to do this. Yeah, okay. So he did. Okay, and then he kind of has to sit on the rail for maybe a little bit too long, trying to force the boat to roll over after the sail fills with wind on the new side, where he was maybe a little bit behind on the timing on the roll, and that's a really big challenge for him because he's probably 60 pounds or 70 pounds. So we're going to compare that to Ryan's tack coming up, and we're going to learn something from it. The rest of the tack here, the flat and everything, he's got the hand on the centerboard, hand on the rail. Everything else is pretty solid. He actually turns this into a really good tack. Too much rudder going into it. We'll watch it again to see how there's too much rudder going into it. Pretty good, smooth little flatten. Starting from the beginning. Okay, huge turn. Way too much rudder. Blake, you do that all the time. You gotta turn more with your weight, less with your rudder, and try to whip the boat around with your body posture. Zooming up to Ryan. So Ryan sailed all day this day. He didn't have enough luff tension. If you notice, look at here. It's hard to see. You can probably see it better when the video is playing. Little scallops in the luff of his sail, showing that his luff tension's too loose. He needs half a twist off on the bling, maybe drop the boom just a tiny bit lower and get a little more tension on the luff of your sail. If you're scared to increase your luff tension because your entry is not going to be smooth enough, typically that's a sign that you have to ease off on the corner ties. But that's off topic a little bit. Let's go into the tack. So these are light air tacks. We're starting from inside the boat on all of these. So the transition of what you do with your weight to whip the boat into the tack is really kind of interesting here. Ryan initiates this tack mostly with the rudder instead of with the weight, but then he does incorporate his weight once he gets going through the tack, and he whips the boat around and pivots it around his mast. Okay, so right there when he stood up on his feet to go from inside the boat to on the rail, I would have liked if he surfed the boat into the tack a little bit more, almost like your bottom turning when you're surfing. You gotta lean the boat to leeward, step back in the boat, and cruise the rail through the tack a little bit. You can use your weight to turn the boat. What you're gonna see next, as soon as I hit play, is you're gonna see he shifted from his knees pointing across the boat to in front, right? He shifted from sideways to facing forward in opti stance. He's gonna fire back on the rail, and the boat's gonna whip right around the movement that he makes when he does that. Okay. Good tack right into the coach boat wake. We're gonna pause right here. Okay, so let's compare this to Blake's tack. So at Blake's tack at this point, when the boom was coming over across the boat, he was already thinking about the flatten. He had his chest and his shoulders ducking under the boom ready to flatten, and then he got stuck rolling the boat after the tack, trying to get it to roll over as far as it was supposed to be. So Ryan at this point is still perfectly straight. Here's the rail line, right? Here's the outside of his boat. So probably 80–90% of his mass is outside of the rail line in this picture. So Blake needs to incorporate more of this technique. Same with everyone else who's small and is having a difficult time rolling the boat. You do not want to roll the boat after the boom comes across. You want to have the timing on the roll right. So typically what you always see with smaller opti sailors is you see them forcing the roll too late in the second half of the tack, where if they have better technique and they're doing what Ryan's doing here, you have a much better chance of timing the roll properly. So Here's the rail line right here. Most of his body weight is all outside of that, so he's still rolling the boat hard. You can let the boom, you can keep your back straight, keep an opti stance, stay in this posture until the boom hits you in the shoulder if you have to make that roll happen, okay? And then when the boom hits you in the shoulder, if that does happen, you bring your chest down to your knees, down forward. Instead of going inside the boat, you stay forward, which still keeps the same amount of your mass far out over rolling the boat. So you don't want to roll the boat late, you want to roll the boat on time. Okay, and this is really the key, where Ryan's really got the whole boat balanced around his weight, max heel, rudder looks good, no cavitation, not stalled out, sails trimmed well. And this is a great shot. Rudder is almost completely out of the water, still no cavitation. He's got the coach boat wake that he's going to hit. We're going to watch how he hits it coming out of the tack. His sail's perfectly trimmed at the maximum point of heel. You can even see a little bit of water coming into the boat, and he's in the air on the way to the high side. He's using his hands on the rail and on the centerboard to control his weight and the boat in relation, and control how the boat flattens into these waves. So a lot going on right here. Let's try and watch how he does it. The main thing is maximum point of heel with perfect sail trim. Those two things are huge. And maximum point of sail with perfect sail trim, and he's not still down here trying to roll the boat over. He's not wasting extra time down on the rail trying to roll the boat. He's going. He's moving through the maneuver. He's transitioning from one move to the next. He's just flattening, getting ready to accelerate. Okay, so he's coming into this wave here. Okay, so the one thing you want to notice is he does not over trim his main out of that tack. He keeps his main really, really loose, almost at 80%, probably at 85% coming out of that tack. And the reason he does that, he doesn't think about doing that, you can tell. It's not something he consciously thought. It's something that he just knew to do by feeling it. It was that he would have stalled out completely and lost all of his speed if he over trimmed hitting those coach boat wakes coming out of that tack. Instead, by keeping his main out, he almost gets an auto pump out of the main. The leech flicks a little bit, and not because he pumped it, because he just left it trimmed well as he hit the waves. Okay. Also, really great rudder movement right there. That little head up as you hit the wave. For some reason, that looked really good. Okay, so he re-entered the rudder without cavitating it, and he also steered through the wave pretty nicely. Gets 2 pumps out of the waves. Most people would have stopped through those waves, so that was pretty cool. Here's the Oliver tack. Definitely seen a lot of people flatten like this before. And Oliver's a little taller, little taller and skinnier, so that kind of leads into this style. So if this is not slow, it looks good. It actually is a really good tack. It's kind of interesting. He fell into place a little bit. So when you get to be taller, it gets interesting. It gets tricky roll tacking in light air, but you can do it just as well as anyone else. You have to learn how to use your height to your advantage a little bit. Okay, so once again there we see Blake, he bends his back too soon and starts to move underneath the boom a little too early. Right there, okay? So remember when we did the analysis for Ryan, we'd drawn the line right here off the rail and 80% of Ryan's mass was outside of it. Blake's probably got 50% of his mass outside of it, if that. I mean, the shoulders and the head are really a good bit of weight, and if you're in the opti stance with the back straight outside the rail, you help to roll the boat much better here. And not only that, but Ryan, when we froze, was static in that position rolling the boat, where Blake's already starting to flatten a little bit. He might, let's see if he tries a double roll after the boom comes across. Not more hesitation than anything. Still good tacks, but I think to improve it, you have to transition more smoothly from maneuver to maneuver. So that was it right there. It's this extra second right there to there. Okay, that little extra second there, that little extra hesitation, that little bit of time delaying the flatten, that's where your room for improvement is. Okay, so it's hard to see because it is a really small improvement, but not really, it's actually a huge improvement once you make it. It'll make a big difference to your boat handling all across the board. It's right here to there. Okay, so that should have been a little bit faster. And the way to make it faster would have been to go into that tack with your back straighter for longer. Alex is always looking at me when I come up behind him to get video of him or to coach him or anything. So Alex, you gotta forget about me. I'm there to watch you and make observations. You gotta worry about sailing your boat. See this over trimming on the main sheet here? It should be at the corner. Too much rudder, stalls the boat out. Really good procedure on the flatten. Okay, you had the hand on the center board and the hand on the rail. That was perfect. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. But you're coming out heeling to windward with this boom over trimmed. Okay, so you need to rock to leeward and do a power speed build here. You need to get some flow in your sail and do a little pump to get it going. Here, I'll play the audio from the real video in the first place, and I think I say the same thing. Let's go back and see what. Over trimming. So too much rudder, over trimming, turning too fast. Still over trim. Look at where the boom is, Alex. Your boom's in the middle of your boat. It should be outside the corner almost, especially since you're stalled out and kind of slow and leaning to windward right now. Should be leaning to leeward a little bit, easing a little bit, getting up to speed, and then flattening and trimming into the corner once you have a little more speed and a little bit more flow. Yeah, so in general, Alex, watching Alex sail, everyone makes the same mistakes, but we're just using people as examples here. When your sail stalls out, when you're over trimmed, when you're heeling to weather, every time your flow is not there and you're stalled out, every time that happens, you need to fix that problem immediately, okay? Because that means you're not to full speed. If you're not to full speed and you're in a race, you're losing. It's quite simple. So you need to do a speed build, you need to do a power build. We'll make another video, I guess, on exactly what that is and how to do that. But the biggest thing is to sense it, is to feel it, to have a good feel for the boat, and to know the second you're slow that you've got a problem and that you need to do something. So really just heightening awareness around the trim of your sail, where it is. You need to have a better feel for that sail being over trimmed coming out of that tack. Let's see where we go next. That was a really good tack, Alex. That was a good trim out of that one. So let's see. Okay, so just for the purpose of really kind of pointing out everything that can be improved on here. I'm not trying to harp on you, but Ryan's tacks are pretty near perfect. So what's the difference between Ryan's body position and maneuvering going into this tack and Alex? And Alex, you really want to kind of study the guys who do it best and figure out how you can do it exactly like they do it, right? So what you're not doing is you're not shifting from this facing sideways thing, the full speed, full forward body position, into rotating back on the boat, knees forward, into opti stance, and having the boat pivot around your weight, turning the boat with your weight. So you need to lead into the tack more with your own weight. Turn the boat with your weight. Have the boat pivot around your mass while you're in opti stance on the rail. A little more speed and a little bit more flow. Okay, so that was pretty much so far he hasn't rotated forward at all. He's done this whole tack up to this point facing sideways across the boat. So you need to be incorporating opti stance a little bit more to turn the boat, using your rudder a little bit less. What I do like is the hand on the center board. The right hand's going to go up and grab the rail. He is going to get the roll in, but he should be flattening at this point. And what you're actually going to see is you're going to see him roll now, late in the tack, and then flatten. He does come out with good speed. Okay. But it's that delay, it's that timing of the roll and timing of the flatten. You want to do it. You really want to do the roll and the flatten as early in the tack as you can, without being too early. It's hard to be too early. It's really, really easy to be too late. So it's all about timing, it's all about technique, it's all about being on the rail. Can we go back to